What's up, everybody? Couch Mills here, coming at you with a brand new Overwatch video. And in this video, we got a lot of Overwatch 2 leaks to cover. There have been a lot of people that have played the game and now get to ultimately talk about it. So they're basically leaking a lot about what is in the game, and we get to kind of pick the brain of Overwatch 2 and the Overwatch 2 developers. So we're gonna break it all down. But go to the GameLeap website if you want in-depth Overwatch guides, you want to level up, get your dream rank. There's never been a better time than right now, so go check it out. But without further ado, let's jump into the video. Now, there are actually a lot of different leaks to cover, but let's first talk about a really big one that Super talks about on stream. We're gonna play it and we're gonna talk about it afterwards. Roll it.
But one thing that really felt kind of was
smart.
Okay, so if you are in combat and you take damage for 4 seconds after you take damage, you receive 25% less healing. And like the thing is, like, there's no visual cue that like you're healing less. It felt really not good. Like, okay, so if this is like normal power level here, tanks are like down there, supports are like there, and then DPS are, you know what I'm saying? In Overwatch 2. That's what it feels like.
Now, basically, Super is talking about the fact that currently in the game, you are going to be receiving less healing if you've taken damage for a certain amount of time. Now, this really doesn't seem very intuitive. It seems kind of awkward, and it kind of really overly punishes not only you, but healers if you take any damage. I'm not entirely sure if this should stick, but I really want to know your opinion about all that in the comments down below. Now, there have actually been several different things that have come out. I'm just going to kind of read them and we're going to talk about them. Take all these with a grain of salt, because remember, these are leaks and these come from the players. This doesn't necessarily mean it's going to make it into the live game. The first one is MEI doesn't freeze, but her gun does 90 damage, and with Discord it melts people, so it's basically like a freaking flame gun or whatever. I mean, that's definitely interesting. No more CC on the gun. Remember, they're trying to take CC away from a lot of different characters. Sombra is so broken, both teams agrees not to use her. Hack while stealth means that you can perma-hack the same person over and over. She can shoot faster coming at a hack, and thus with the damage increase for hack targets made her do insane damage. So yeah, that means she was absolutely busted if the teams just decided not to play her, and it really seems very, very frustrating to be able to get hacked over and over again with very little counterplay. He said Soldier feels good. That doesn't really tell us that much. Zarya is trash with a 20-second cooldown bubble if she uses both at the same time. That seems like a very freaking long time for a solo tank that doesn't have a lot more to keep her alive if she doesn't have any other tank to play around. Mercy is trash. She heals 50 now, and with the in-combat debuff, it's reduced to 25% to 37.5 healing, which definitely means that that's pretty rough, honestly, and that debuff seems like it probably needs to go. A lot of Mercy mains are probably going to be really mad about these change, and healers in general. Diva felt okay in general. Tanks felt pretty weird to play. That's probably going to be normal. Tanks are going to be a complete show right off the bat just to get the feel for, but then to balance on top of that, it's definitely going to be very, very strange for a while. Reinhardt felt okay. Fire Strike nerf to 90 damage means you can't one-shot 200 HP through window. So windows still exist, but you can't one-shot people, so that's a little bit interesting. Zen is really good. Discord with Sombra hack makes enemies take crazy damage, so it looks like Zen works kind of well with Sombra. I mean, that seems like people would just get deleted like crazy. Honest sleep cooldown increased to 15 seconds. Jesus Christ. Brig bash doesn't stun anymore. Feels weird. Does 40 damage. That's a little strange. I mean, less CC overall. It seems Ana gets to keep her CC in the sleep dart category, but the majority of characters are losing their CC. Still very curious what they're going to do with Doomfist. They did talk about potentially putting Doomfist in that tanking role, so I'm interested if he's going to end up there. Push felt like team deathmatch. Now, it did look really scrappy from what we've seen in the footage. I wonder if it's going to stay that way, or maybe over time people are going to figure out how to play the map and it's going to feel less like team deathmatch. But honestly, I don't really hate it if it does feel like team deathmatch. Better than freaking 2CP, but it should have at least some structure. I gotta play the game mode myself to fully make up my mind on this. Now, next up, we gotta talk about some other things that came through, some more leaks. Sigma, Arista, McCree, Doomfist, Mora were disabled because they're reworking all of them. Makes a lot of sense that a lot of these characters are going to need to be reworked massively. Sigma could definitely be a really good solo tank, but they probably have to revert him back to he used used to be, where he had a huge shield, lots of health on the shield. Orisa, of course, could probably get reverted for the most part as well. McCree is probably going to lose his stun, and of course, he's going to lose his name as well. Unlucky. Doomfist, of course, we talked about him, and Mora is going to be a very interesting one. I'm interested in how they're going to change her. They also said Winston's right click felt good, like the railgun from Quake. Needs aim, has a 25-meter range, and does 50 damage at full charge. After reaching full charge when not fired, it fires automatically after 1 second. Just like Symmetra's right clicks, you can do a 130 damage burst combo if you're able to land your right click melee jump combo on somebody. Now, the no aim, no brain must be a Winston main. That's gonna go away because now Winston takes skill, so people like XQC can't play him. No, I'm just joking. I'm just joking. Don't get triggered. I do like the idea that this is actually in the game. I'm really excited for how Winston is going to feel as a solo tank, and the fact that he does require more skill, and it's added skill, and he gets CC reduction with that passive to all tanks. I'm incredibly excited. I'm probably going to be playing a ton of freaking tank come Overwatch 2, so I'm definitely excited about all that. Bastion felt underwhelming to play, might be worse than he is now, because think about it, you're moving at 50% speed in turret form, and your bullets do 34% damage. The Overwatch stream said 60 damage compared to the live version. So you're slowly going around a corner, doing less damage in turret form than you do now. His ultimate is fun, his turret form is weaker, his primary fire feels so bad, actually really bad, but the rate of fire is so slow now. And I'm really trying to understand what this freaking sentence says, but basically he just feels a lot weaker than he did before, and I honestly think that's fine. I mean, we can definitely up his damage and different things like that, make him better in other aspects, but if we can get rid of the really annoying playstyle that a lot of people hated on Bastion before, I think that's just better for the game overall, and a lot of people are going to like it, although I'm not entirely sure it was going to be very viable in the first place with less tanks being played, a lot faster DPS. I highly doubt that a protect the president's type of Bastion would have ever existed in Overwatch 2 regardless of a rework, so I don't really necessarily think it was needed, but it's probably good because it actually creates a new character that we can actually play rather than a character that is just dead in the water. As mentioned, 25% less healing when in combat and up to 4 seconds afterwards. Any damage will put you in combat, even a single Diva pellet doing 0.4 damage from across the map. He assumes that this will not stay in the game. That makes a lot of sense because that seems really fucking dumb. I'm not gonna lie. Like I said, I really want to know your opinion about all that down below. He thinks that the power level of the role is DPS is massively the most powerful, then healers, then tanks, which doesn't feel good at all. Healers are literally weaker in Overwatch 2, and there's only one tank now, so as a tank, you're taking the brunt of the impact. Yeah, really, having this debuff with healing is super bad. You're getting rid of the healer CC, which I understand because they're getting a passive, and you could increase their power level in other regards. They get that passive heal, but if you're gonna increase DPS speed, take away all healer CC, and then lower their effective heal rate, you're just nerfing them across the board for the most part, while you're increasing the power level of most of the DPS, especially the ones that don't have CC as is. Really doesn't seem very smart, and I think that healers should be a lot more powerful. And of course, tanks as a whole, I really would like fundamental changes to the majority of them. I think they're gonna need it if they want them to be viable, because there's a lot of tanks that it just doesn't make sense to have them as a solo tank in my personal opinion. But I really want to hear your opinion about all that down below. Next up, he felt that the best support lineups were Zen Ana or Zen Bat, maybe sometimes Lucio Ana for dive comps. Mora was disabled. Thought Mercy was useless and Brig was weird. This is all coming from Super. He thinks that Blizzard wants to move away from a team-oriented MOBA to a more individual aim game. He played 7 games and Overwatch 2 felt more like deathmatch than Overwatch 1 was. It felt like charging your ult takes a very long time now. And remember, there's a lot of characters that are being reworked. There's a lot of characters that were not actually live. None of the new characters were in the game, and there's a lot of changes still coming along. So the game is going to look far different than this. So I wouldn't make any judges too soon. That being said, there's some obvious things that just seem a little bit out of place, especially that heal debuff thing. I don't really know how I feel about that. I don't think it's good ultimately, but of course I've never played the game myself. And really the thing is, there has always been kind of this difference in philosophy with pushing Overwatch to a more mobile oriented game or pushing Overwatch into a more individual mechanical game. And I think that the community is kind of split, right? The ultimate MOBA style of Overwatch has always been like GOATs. And I think that there has been some metas that have been far more individual aim style, like Double Sniper is one example. Dive was very mechanically demanding. So it really depends on kind of what you like to do. I do think that it's probably better if we don't go to the absolutes of either spectrum, but I really want to know your opinion about it and why. Are you excited for it to be a much more mechanical, individual, fraggy style game where everyone feels kind of like a DPS in some way? Or would you rather it be much more of a mind game, like a MOBA, like freaking Dota, League of Legends, things like that with the GOATS meta? I want to know your opinion about all that and why. Go to the GameLeap website if you really want to dominate in Overwatch. Set yourself up to dominate Overwatch 2 and give yourself the competitive edge you need right now. You got to go check it out down below. But thank you so much for coming by. Hope you enjoyed the video. I love your faces, and I'll see you next time.